Okay, well, excuse me, that was not the best start. Okay, guys, welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future, because of course you will be notified. Make sure you do check out the Elevating Trades Discord channel, completely free to join. Link to that in the description below and also at the top of the chat. Make sure you hit the like button before we do begin, guys. It does really help out and I do really appreciate it. But good morning, everyone. What is up, Anagaso? Hope I'm saying your name correctly. Appreciate it. Hope you're well. Good morning, good morning. What's up, Ahmed? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. So as always, we'll go through USD side of things first. Take a look at the DXY, USD majors, gold, silver as well. Take a look at some indices too. If you have any particular requests, any markets you're looking to trade or want my opinion of, just drop it in the chat and we will discuss. What is up, the high elf? Welcome to the stream. Hope you will. Hope you're well. Amir, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Good morning. So first things first, the dollar. What do we have in store? Not much to speak about since yesterday. Yesterday's candle, pretty small to be honest, just slightly bearish. Of course, a bit of a gap there to the upside, which is why it's not perfect at the low, but bit of a gap. Price was a little bit bearish, lower time frames, momentum is just going a little bit sideways. This is the 4-hour chart. We're just looking a little bit fatigued right now. So I do think a pullback is on the cards for the dollar, especially because of where we're trading. If I expand to the weekly chart, and if we look to the left, you can see where we're trading now. Of course, we've had a very, very bearish candle last week. So there's a lot of momentum in the market. We could easily break through this. So looking to buy the dollar right now is definitely a bit more of an aggressive play. It makes sense. We're at support. Market's pretty overextended. You know, perhaps we do need a retracement. But again, you can see with the size of that candle, it's always difficult to try and predict the low. If we were slowly pushing to the downside, we saw a lot more candles, maybe some mixed with bullish candles, a lot more wicks, then this buy would make a lot more sense. However, now it's still pretty aggressive for a buy, but I'm looking for a retracement. I'm not necessarily looking to buy the market. If I drop back to the daily, as I spoke about yesterday, this was the area I'm looking to see if price can return to before perhaps we talk about some more selling opportunities. And again, not looking for anything crazy. If we can get there nicely, just looking for continuation back into support really and call it a day there, because the main play here with dollar is that there's just so much bearish momentum, not the fact that I'm looking for us to kind of, continue falling, although I think that will be the long-term play. But I'm not going to be looking to hold any swing opportunities into major lows like this. If I do get short, it will be for maybe a day or two. But yeah, dollar's still trading at support, still respecting it pretty well. So I do think some upsides on the cards, but I'm only focused on the shorts here from 101.5. Euro USD, pretty much the same thing as well. We've taken out some major highs on the weekly chart. This one, not so much respecting resistance. We've actually closed above it. But nevertheless, the market's still taking out major highs, very overextended. I do think a pullback is due. And if I do drop to the daily chart, we've got some nice levels to look at for a pullback into and potentially some longs. And again, just like euro, just like the dollar, sorry. If price can get there, I'm not looking for necessarily a big move because the market's already made a big move. It's not like we're starting at the bottom of a trend here. The market's already made its move. We've completely engulfed this humongous bearish move, and we're trading well above the highs there. So the market is pretty stretched. It's seen a lot of upside. Therefore, I'm not looking for anything crazy with the buys. If we can see a nice healthy pullback into a zone, there's a good chance we do respect it and see a bounce. But I'm not looking to shoot for the stars because we've already seen a pretty big move. And if I can get it back to highs, I'll be pretty happy with that trade there. So again, dollar just looking for a pullback. You see in the 4-hour chart, looking very fatigued right now. Price is just going sideways. So in fairness, it's a bit 50-50 which way we break out. We could easily break to the upside. We could easily break to the downside. I'm not really too interested in terms of trying to guess which way. I've got a zone here which looks good for a long. If price can break to the downside, great. Hopefully we can talk about some longs there and maybe some shorts on the breakout, either looking to short on the breakout or waiting for a retest. That could be a bit more of an intraday sell opportunity, taking advantage of some shorts there. So that could be something to look out for. But in terms of a swing buy, especially on the hourly or 4-hour chart, this is the zone that I'm looking to see if we can work with. So that's still the plan with Euro. It hasn't changed since the beginning of the week. Pound USD has been pretty bullish. I was hoping for a bit more of a pullback. It still could happen, of course. But pound has just been flying, to be honest. Looks like 1.34 is where we're headed towards. We've got major resistance here, 1.33725. It looks like that could be where price is looking to go and test next. We had a very bullish close on the week last week. So again, we had that wick to the upside. Price tried to sell off but failed, and essentially just broke out of this consolidation with a strong bullish candle. So my expectation this week was more upside. However, I was waiting for price to push down first so I can look for some entries on the retest of this zone. Didn't get that, unfortunately. The market just still flying. Like I said, we still could pull back, so I'm not writing off pound USD at all. We've created new highs past this point, so it kind of confirms to us that didn't mean to do that. It kind of confirms to us that this, of course, was our previous high low in the market. So I am still looking for a correction because I do think the market is pretty overextended right now. So I do expect to see some type of pullback. It may not be as big as this, but I would hope it to be, because that's kind of where I'm looking to buy from. And then targets, I'm looking at 1.33725, basically 1.34. But there's more upside to be had with pounds. I'm looking to long it, just waiting for a correction. I like the opportunity a lot more now. So yeah, just waiting patiently for the trade. Dollar CAD, bearish bias with this one as well. Again, we're still kind of trading around that massive level of support on the weekly time frame. Prior resistance and support. I know we just about closed below, but the market isn't perfect. If this is really gonna signal to me a breakout, I want to see a much bigger close than that for me to be like, okay, it's a big breakout. This level's not holding. I'm expecting more downside. If this week's candle was to push back up, I wouldn't be too surprised. So more or less, dollar CAD still at support. Again, I'm looking to short this one, but I need a much bigger pullback. I'm looking primarily at, let me just move this out of the way. I'm looking primarily at this zone here. Lovely supports with return resistance. Similar trade I did to Euro, similar trade I did to Pound as well. Just looking for a pullback into price support on the 4-hour stroke daily time frame. And if you can see sufficient retest of these areas, I do think we can catch some nice sells. Again, not looking for anything too crazy, because we know that we do have that massive dollar CAD support just below us. So if we can catch a nice push, that'll probably be a decent trade just to call it a day. There's chances we do find support and price does come back up against us, because it's respecting that zone on the weekly chart, so being cautious of that. And if you get a much bigger pullback, we do have 1.416 up there as well. That will be a possibility. But yeah, for now, dollar CAD still seeing a lot of momentum. USD still pretty bearish. I'm still pretty bearish on USD itself, so I'm only looking to short the dollar against pretty much every currency. Aussie dollar, I'm looking to long this one, so again, short the dollar. We're seeing a lot more momentum this, well, not really actually. The price is still pushing up, but we had a lot of momentum coming into the weekend. That looks like it's kind of spilling over a little bit. I do think price is likely to break through resistance here and continue higher. The reason for that is because I'm looking at this being a bit of a bottom for Aussie dollar. Not necessarily that I'm expecting price to completely reverse. It may just be an upside for 3-4 weeks before we do continue. That could be the case. I do think we do have a bit of a push to the upside in us. If I do get the fib from the high to the swing low, I'm looking at least for a push into the 50, but I do think we can get to the 0.618 of a healthy pullback. If the market is going to continue, I feel like we're either going to test the 50 or test the 0.618. Even test the 0.786 before we continue. So those are the kind of targets I'm looking to work with. In terms of a decent trade though, I have been waiting for a bit of a pullback for Aussie dollar. So I mentioned this area here yesterday. And I also mentioned this area here yesterday, but as you can see, the market looks to be just flying to the upside right now. Again, difficult to get into a long with the market just peeling away like this. Unless, of course, you're on the lower time frames, then there will be some smaller pullbacks you can look to take advantage of. But from a full hour perspective, we've seen a really big move to the downside, a very big recovery of that. So giving us that really big V-shaped pattern. So now I'm looking at the correction of that and then expecting us to continue, which would look like a big inverse head and shoulder pattern, left shoulder, head, of course your right shoulder. That's your neckline, then you're expecting price to break higher. So I think there's a really nice opportunity on our hands here with Aussie dollar, just about a correction. And pretty much that's the same idea with pretty much every USD pair right now. Your USD correction, pound USD correction, Aussie dollar, dollar CAD, and the USD as well. Just waiting for a correction for a buy. This one's completely broken to the upside. The week has started very bullish, no bottom wick pretty much at all here, or less, a very, very small one. But we pretty much just started bullish on the week and continued flying. It was a very strong close the week prior, so I'm expecting more upside anyway. And same situation as the Aussie dollar, drawing a fib from the high to the low, looking for us to return into the 0.5, 0.618. Looks like we're just about to hit the 0.5. Next level would be 0.618, so there's still a bit of distance there. It would be great to see price go and test that area. I do want to see a bit of a pullback first for NZD USD. I did speak about this level here, but looks like we've kind of left that in the dust right now. So I'm more so concerned about this area at 0.58183. We can just call that 0.5581. But if we can get a pullback into that area, I'll be happy to look to long as well. Again, massive V-shape correction here, strong impulse down, consolidation, massive recovery. If we can get a correction into that zone, that probably will give us a nice bounce. If we correct slightly deeper, we've got that zone just below us there as well. So I like that as an opportunity too. But in terms of bias, still liking more upside there for NZD USD, just waiting for a pullback. In terms of gold, so gold looking very bullish. Again, I spoke about some short-term sell opportunities, but also a buy from this zone here. Unfortunately, haven't got there yet. Again, I'm not going to write that off. We still potentially could see a pullback into that zone. It is still definitely on the cards. I did talk about some shorts yesterday. Wasn't a fan of that hourly close. It did still pay off though. We still did see a price come back, retest that zone and give us a nice sell. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that close there. Pull back a little bit too much for my liking. But as overall, gold is still bullish. We formed a low here. Price is still pushing up. I think from an intraday perspective, there's a nice zone here just below us, which looks like price hasn't quite come back for a retest yet. So if we were to have one more push down, that might provide a nice trade this afternoon or tomorrow, depends on when we get there. And of course, targets back at the high. But you probably could take that further, to be honest. Knowing gold, we probably will break those highs. But I still like the retest of this zone if we were to get back there. Silver is just a bit awkward, to be honest. Silver. So yeah, silver is just a bit awkward. Pretty bullish on silver. I'm still looking to buy it, but we're just coming back into resistance, and we still have that massive sell. We're coming back into some areas of supply there. So it's just a bit awkward for silver right now. How can I buy a market that's about to come back into an area like such? It doesn't really make too much sense. This is more bearish territory. So I need price to start either forming some higher lows or get back above this level here. Potentially that could end up being a nice buy, but even that I have to be a bit cautious of as well. So silver, I do have a bullish bias, but I think if anything, there actually might be some short-term sell opportunities to eye up. Let's see how price reacts with this zone. If we get there, it's still looking pretty corrective. It might be a nice sell for potentially a day or two. I'm not looking for a swing back to the low here. I think that's a bit optimistic, but we might see a nice short, like I said, a day or two. Maybe price finds support, then pushes back up again. That could be worthwhile though. So yeah, I'll keep an eye on 32.8 for a short, depending how we get there and how we react, of course. That could be a nice sell, but I'll keep it short and sweet because I still expect silver to continue to push higher and follow essentially what gold is doing. So yeah, that kind of wraps up where I'm at with the USD pairs. USD still pretty much bearish bias, just looking for corrections pretty much across all the majors. Yeah, I like pound USD, I like Aussie dollar, I like New Zealand dollar. So yeah, mainly focusing on those pairs. What's up, Darker Sean, Naz and GJ 5 minute? Okay, we'll have a look see. Sultan, what is up? Hope you're doing good. Good morning. Spark, what pair? You're talking about the pair. I'm analyzing the pair is always on the screen. So silver daily time frame. High Elf, what is up? Some entries on pound Aussie. Okay, we'll take a look. Oh, pound Aussie, pound NZD and euro NZD. Okay. How long would I hold? Good question. Okay, I'll go take a look at that. What's up, Alex? Good morning. Hope you're well. Okay, so I'll take a look at GJ and Naz on the 5 first. Then we'll go through some of those entries for the High Elf. So Naz 100. Let's take a look. Okay, where are we? See, it always catches me off guard how much price action we get between last time we look at it and then when I look at it the next day, because I'm always used to the hourly and the 4 hour chart. An hourly chart, you're going to get 24 new candles, so price is still roughly in the same area. Might have seen a move away or two. 4 hour chart, pretty much still in the same area unless there was a big move. The 5 minute chart, we've done so much, always catch me off guard. Anyway, in terms of the 5 minute chart, we eventually did get the gap fill. Looks like price did come back, respect that area we were mentioning yesterday. That was more of a trade I was talking about on the hourly chart. You know, come back to retest that high there. Nice reaction. Drop into the 5 minute. I mean, I still do have a natural bias of the market making a push back to the high there. So I'm kind of having that in the back of my mind right now. I do like the way we found the support here. We are pushing a bit more into bearish territory as we come back into this high on the left here. If we're to push back into the highs here, that's actually probably a decent sell. I'm not too sure if I'm looking for such a big push back into support. I mean, that could be the case. You know, we're not to know. I think if you're looking to short, that's still a comfortable area for a buy. If price was to break structure and break past this swing point on the left here, then yeah, I'm expecting us just to make our way back to highs and probably at that point, eventually a push back to high there. And again, when I mean a push back to highs, I don't necessarily mean that price is just going to straight line it back to the high. We might break the high, you know, pull back a bit, higher low, maybe even a deep pullback, then push up again. So that's kind of what I mean, but I just mean the trajectory. I'm expecting the market to just make a push back to resistance if we do break the high here. So if the sellers are going to keep price bearish, we have seen some nice meaningful sells, 1, 2, and 3 there, even though the third one still respected the low. There is some momentum here. So I do think shorts back around 18,925 looks good. Push back to the high there. I think if we see a solid rejection, that could be a nice short. But if it does break, then yeah, I'm just looking for structure to form and higher lows. But I would focus on that high. In terms of pound yen, let's take a look what pound yen's doing. So last time we spoke, where were we? Okay, so yeah, we're here. So price continued up. Quite correctively though. Let me look in the 4 hour chart. Okay, so he did hit the resistance then. So yeah, this was the level we were discussing yesterday. So we have hit resistance. So that kind of justifies why a little bit corrective and fatiguing a little bit. So, so this could be, especially in the 5 minute as well, this could be a nice area for a sell because this overall move to the upside has been pretty corrective. I was talking a lot yesterday about some big sells for pound yen. But I did say I want price to get kind of back to this area first before I do look to sell it again. And I'm still standing by that. I'd rather look to sell euro yen than pound yen because euro yen hasn't really made a big move yet. Pound yen has. Again, I'm still talking about primarily from a swing bias. But based on how we're moving here, we had a really big move up, corrected move down, corrected move back up again. I think we can get a nice drop to the downside. Whether it's a push all the way back to the lows here, I think that's a different situation, but it looks like we are struggling at the highs there quite a lot. So on the 5 minute for pound yen, I would suggest even, if I kind of just draw it right at the top there, I would suggest even if we have another swing to the upside, so let's say if the market finds support, we are still putting in these higher lows here, perhaps we put another one in. If we have another rally to the upside, I feel like it could catch a nice short, and that potentially could be a really big swing. But of course, being careful of those higher lows forming. So yeah, pound yen, I think shorts look good here on the 5 minute. We're still pretty corrective here. I think if we can have another spike to the high, that could be a nice short. Of course, I wouldn't really want to sell it now. Now we're coming back into support again. We might bounce here, we might break through. We have to wait and see. But this is just not the best place to be looking to sell. I'm not too sure if I'll be so interested with the buys either, just because I know we smash into that 4 hour resistance. So I quite like the sells for pound yen here. But again, in terms of a placement for a short, I definitely do want to see a swing back up again before the sell. So that's kind of where I'm at with NAS and GJ in the 5 minute. So yeah, hopefully that made some sense. The high alpha, let's go through some of your positions. GJ, I will take. Actually, I'll just go through GJ right now since I'm on the market. Clickbait. What's up, Manzoni? Hope you're well. CC integrated. What is up, my man? Hope you're doing good. DXY 30 minute long. Okay, it does look like we potentially could see some upside for the dollar. We are looking quite tired. We're trading at some major support, so I will go take a look at that position there, see it's integrated. But yeah, for GJ, there could actually be some nice shorts here, more so on the 4 hour and the hourly time frame. It depends if we could see a strong rejection, so if price can push up, give us a nice shift of momentum. I think that could be a good entry. But again, nothing too crazy with pound yen. I'll keep targets relatively simple, back at support, because looking to the left here, price is respecting support pretty well. And as you can see, if I drag that zone across, we're still seeing a lot of wicks into this area. So support here on the left at 187 is still being pretty stubborn, and price is still holding on to it. So we are coming back into some resistance pretty well. But if we do have a nice reaction, we've got areas where buyers will be looking to step back in and potentially push price against us. But because we're looking very corrective on the way up, it does look like price might see a rejection and a push down. If we do break through this, then the next area which I would sell from would be at least 192, 193, which is this brief consolidation and that massive move down, which of course might take at least a week for us probably to get there in the first place. But that would be a nice place for a sell, because we're in an area where we could be catching potentially another lower high. We've got one over there, a second over there, a third, perhaps a fourth forms, then we catch another wave. So that would be a really nice swing opportunity. But for now, yeah, I do think keep an eye on this zone, 189.5. It looks to be holding as resistance. And there could be some nice shorts on the hourly or the 4 hour time frame. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with pound yen. Okay, high up. Let's go through some of those positions. So pound Aussie. Okay, so I'm assuming you're long, because all those pairs are pretty much the same in terms of how they move. So I assume you're in the same direction in all of them. And since we're more so coming to areas of support, I assume you're long on this one. But if not, let me know. Entry 2.07845. 2.078. Yeah, it's more or less in the area. So yeah, I actually do expect to see a bit more downside this week for pound Aussie. Now, I'm not necessarily bearish on the pair, but I do think price has got a little bit more in the tank to the downside. I'm looking at this kind of consolidation on the weekly chart. You can see we had quite a few candles congested in that area. And then all of a sudden we had this massive candle a couple of weeks back. I do think price is likely to retest that area before continuing. So I'm looking for a little bit more downside there. It does look like support is holding, but at the same time, we're kind of just flat right now, which is pretty much summarized quite well on the 4-hour chart. But if we look to the left, we've got some price support here, which is holding as resistance pretty well. So I did suggest this week we might have another push to the upside, and that could end up being a nice short back into that weekly zone. And then maybe from there we start to bounce. And we don't have to kind of look at it as a massive zone, it's just more so resistance here around 2.06, and maybe from there we bounce. But there is some signs that the market is slowing down. The fact that we had a very corrective move, then suddenly a massive move there to the upside, then we had a really aggressive double top and we pushed down pretty hard. I'm not so enthusiastic about a big continuation back to the highs. That could be the case, the trend's still bullish. But I think in terms of the buys, I would wait for a push into this zone before I do get long. But again, I wouldn't look to try and hold that trade for too long. Again, it's always difficult to gauge how long you should hold a trade, because if you knew the answer to that, you'd be calling every single move. So always difficult. It's more so what price does. If price pushes in your favor, then you start to see some rejection. Okay, maybe that's the time to bank some profit or trade a stop or something. There's not necessarily a time on that. In terms of, okay, a few hours have passed to get out the trade. You're not to know that. It's more in terms of what price is doing. But I would suggest that support looks like it's holding pretty well, but altogether we're just very, very flat. So I think a push around 2.095, I think would be a kind of a healthy area to start maybe plucking some profit off the table, maybe moving a stop loss to break even, because at that point we're pushing more so to the high of the range back into resistance. Perhaps we might roll back over against us there. Not necessarily close the trade completely, but maybe look to manage that a little bit, because of course we could break through. But we're very, very flat right now, which means buyers and sellers are just in equilibrium right now. So we're probably going to see price push back and forth until we suddenly get that breakout, whether it's going to be news or whatever, that is going to give us that move. I still like the buys from here. So if you were to roll over one more time, I would say keep an eye on that. But yeah, in terms of when to get out, I will get out if I start seeing some red flags in terms of price. So wicks, rejection, and going against me. In terms of how long, again, difficult to gauge that question. Pound entity, this is still a market which I'm actually looking to short still, but it's kind of pulled away from my zone a little bit. I'm more so looking to short it if we can come back into the high around here, or even resistance around there as well. The plan this week was looking for a little bit of a corrective move to the upside, which still could be the case. It's only Tuesday this week. That makes sense. It's only Tuesday. I didn't say this week. It's only Tuesday. So yeah, we still could see that pullback Wednesday, Thursday, maybe some sells right at the end of the week. So I'm not going to rule that out just yet. But yeah, we are coming back into some nice support. So I can see the idea of looking to get long. Even got that high there on the left as well. So definitely not a bad place to get long. Yesterday's candle did kind of slow down, close a small bodied red candle there as well. So it looks like momentum is dying. So I think this is actually a nice place for a long to be fair as well. 4-hour chart, probably could see a little bit more. I know that's a nice bullish engulfing candle, and more so kind of just at the low here. But things are still looking pretty bearish in terms of how we're falling here. So I probably would wait to see if we can get a bit more of a double bottom here, more exaggerated rejection. That'll be something I'd eye up for a buy. But altogether, a nice zone. I assume you're trading in this area roughly. 2.236, yeah, it's more or less around here. So yeah, nice area for a buy. I can just see this trend line annoyingly respecting price pretty well, so that would be a little bit of a red flag there. If we can clear the trend line, then you're looking pretty good. If you do come back into support, be prepared for potentially re-entry as well. But yeah, I think it's a nice place for a buy. Again, for this one, there's a bit more room to the upside here. We could be coming back into a zone like this. I'll probably keep an eye on this low here just in case, 2.25. But there is some distance for this one. Not necessarily looking for a continuation of the trend, but still could get a meaningful bounce there. So I like that position for pound NZD. And in terms of euro NZD, okay, so you're buying all of them. 1.91772. It's more or less there-ish. Okay, so I suppose you've probably gone long based on the retest of this zone here as well. So again, definitely a nice place to look to try and gauge the market for a bounce. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice place for a bounce there for Euro NZD. I'm not looking for a big move here for Euro NZD either. I feel like if price is going to respect that, it's going to be more so a bit of a pullback for us to potentially keep falling, because I am looking at more downside for Euro NZD, Pound Aussie, Pound NZD, all of those pairs, because we've had really big moves to the upside. And sometimes when we have a long-lasting trend like we've had for these pairs, sometimes you see one last big up move before price starts to reverse or just have a bigger retracement, which I feel like price is going through right now. But yeah, it's a nice place for a buy. Yeah, I mean, I probably would wait for a bit more of a stronger rejection before getting in myself, but that's probably a bit more personal preference. But if you've got a stop loss underneath the zone, then you're not in a bad place. Again, momentum is still very much with the bears here, so I'll probably be looking at targets more so around this area. I know it's not very far. We could see a much bigger swing than that, but my thinking would be, okay, watch out for the bears who could still take this lower. If we're going to continue in this structure, that's probably where they're going to sell off against me. So that would be my first point of call in terms of managing the trades. If we can break through that zone and we see a strong close, through that, then of course that gives me a bit more confidence to hold that trade to a longer term target. But yeah, definitely a nice level for a buy. Again, when you're trading all those three pairs at the same time, they're all going to do the same thing really. So they're all going to play out, or maybe they'll all probably go against you. Okay, so we'll go through. I went through GJ. We'll go through DXY for cease integrated. What's up, Godfrey? Yep, we just went through Pound NZD, Pound Aussie. Let me know if you still need some analysis. Let me know. Clickbait, yen basket holding support good, looking for yen sells. Okay, we'll take a look at the yen basket as well. That one's been a little bit mixed in terms of the up and down and the wicks and whatever, but I'm still pretty bullish on the yen basket as well. So naturally, I'm still looking for yen pairs to head lower. Alex, yes, we can take a look at oil, no problem. Trev Beats, do you ever do live trades, i.e. like taking trades? Most of the time I normally take my trades pre 10 a.m. Sometimes I will take trades on the stream, but most of my trades I'll probably execute between 7 and 9 a.m. or if it's in the afternoon, then it's like between 1 and maybe 5 or 6 p.m. In the evening. But yeah, if there's a trade on stream, I will take it. But yeah, I haven't had a position live on stream in a while. I mean, I do share my trades, but I haven't taken a trade on stream in a while, yeah. No problem, High Elf. Happy to help. Okay, so let me go take a look at the DXY, and then we'll go through oil. So, yeah, DXY coming to massive support. So I do expect to see a bounce here. I do expect to see a bounce. I'm looking for a bounce so I can actually buy quite a lot of the USD majors. So Euro USD, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar. I'm looking to buy those this week, to be honest, on some pullbacks. So I do want to see some upside here for the DXY. And I've mapped out some support here from the left, taking that across. You can see the market is just about still respecting that zone. Lovely wick on Friday, another wick there on Monday. So I do think we can see price push to the upside. I do think a bullish candle is on its way. If I drop to the 4-hour chart, we're seeing a lot of wicks as well. If you look to the left, a lot of wick going through the zone there too. So it does look like price is starting to stall. So I do think we can potentially push to the upside. There is some resistance above us, which is causing some noise right now. But I do feel like as long as we're respecting the low here of this wick, there is potentially a push to the upside. Just by eyeballing it, it looks like price kind of squeezing a bit more like a, I forget what this pattern is called. Let's call it a triangle pattern, to be honest. But we're kind of just squeezing in this kind of consolidation between those lower highs and higher lows. And price is going to pick a direction soon in terms of which way it wants to go. I would favor more upside based on how the daily candle's closing. Of course, it's a bit more of an aggressive trade because you're going counter trend against that momentum from previous weeks. But I do think you're in a healthy support level, and we're seeing signs of slowing down anyway. So I do think the buy makes sense. You go along the 30-minute time frame, 99.54. Okay, I'm liking the entry right down at support here. Aim for 100.1, which is here. So that high. To 100.199, basically 100.2, depending on the candle strength later. Okay, so basically around there-ish. So yeah, I like the idea. To be honest, really healthy place for us for a buy. Price coming back into support. I like the wick here, piercing through to the downside, then pulling back up. Really healthy rejection. I do think you're in naturally a nice place for a buy, and also knowing that we're in that daily zone as well, it makes a load of sense for a buy, to be honest. So yeah, DXY, I do like the longs. Of course, like I said, price is still pretty bearish on the higher time frame, so it is that counter trend move. But to me, it does look like this is a likely place for a pullback anyway. So yeah, I can't knock it. See, it's integrated. I like the entry. I like the location of it. I like where we're positioned as well. I like what we're doing in the higher time frames. So yeah, I would guess at least the push to the upside. I probably would say though, as we come back to resistance here around 99.8, maybe keep an eye out to see how price reacts, because you might get a nice bounce here, but then potentially might start to lose momentum and start to struggle there and come back down. Potentially the move is still to the upside, but we could zigzag a little bit before we eventually pick a direction, which might be a bit annoying. So it's up to you how you want to manage it. I know you've probably got a plan around that. But if I was trading it, I'd probably keep an eye on this level to either maybe bank partials, just in case it looks like price might go against me again. But besides from that, I think the target is nice, not looking for anything too crazy, and well positioned as well. So yeah, good luck with that position, cease integrated. I'm actually hoping it does pay out, because of course I want the trade out to play out for your sake, but I'm also looking for the retracement for my sake as well, because I'm looking to sell the dollar, but it does need to see some upside first. No problem, the high elf, happy to help. I'll go take a look at oil next. Intraday trade for me, too risky to hold over a day. Okay, makes sense. Trump might just come and sneeze my greens into red. Yeah, he's got a funny way of doing that, doesn't he? Yeah, so true. Especially, yeah, it's because it's just a very sensitive time in the markets right now. So your trade could be doing well, something happens, and things go the other way, which is difficult to predict. You don't really have that information readily available. It happens in the news, and everything filters in the market later. So, yeah, I totally agree. If you keep it intraday, I think that's a smart move as well. If momentum starts to pick up in your favor, good. If it starts to go sideways or momentum starts to drop and it's approaching the end of the day as well, then yeah, you probably just want to call it quits in that position and see again tomorrow. No problem. I'll close small greens, which is fine for a nice dinner. Good man. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to look for a home run with every trade. Raheel, Euro Yen, we'll take a look. No problem. Let me go through oil first, see what's happening with that market. Okay, so yesterday I said there could be some more upside for oil. Looks like we did see a bounce from that zone, but not much of one. So yesterday I said, actually, to be honest, we almost kind of wicked into the highs. I probably wouldn't have looked for a buy there anyway. I mean, it was more of a nice reaction on the 15-minute chart. So as we can see, a lovely pullback into that zone, nice retest, nice buy opportunity, nice bullish engulfing there as well. But because price was so close to that level, I probably would stay away from that trade because I said yesterday that I think we were trading around here, were we? I think maybe just after that close. Yeah, so I think we're trading around here. So I said if we can get a pullback into that zone, then we can look to trade it back into the high. But because price pretty much got there anyway, I know it just missed it by a small amount, but the market is not perfect. I probably wouldn't take the trade because it's already done the move that I was looking for it to do. I'm buying from support, targeting a level. If price already hit the level, well, then, the mission is already complete. Still can give us a nice short-term buy, though. We still, have a really nice piercing wick, and we did see a nice reaction, just not enough to get us back into resistance. So oil's looking a little bit more tired now. I'll move this out of the way. It's no of real significance anymore, I would suggest. Price is looking like it's about to tumble. Why do I have this line here? Was that the weekly close? Okay, yeah, prior week's low. I was wondering what that line was. So yeah, with oil, we did see a big rejection to the downside, but it looks like momentum's not really picking up with the buyers here. So if we do see a strong break outside of this consolidation, which is this zone here, then I'm looking at push back into support, which is 59. So oil to me looking pretty bearish here. There is support we're coming into, so we could turn around from that. But if we see a break like this, well, some shorts, some pullbacks, perhaps 30, 15 minute will look good. And I expect us to push back into the low here. Some lovely support there around 59, 59.5. Because it looks like we're fading at the highs here. We've had a pretty corrective push to the upside. So now I'm kind of looking for continuation back into support. Not necessarily the lows here just yet. Just more so looking at a push into that area. We tried to break resistance, didn't really see much of a test anyway. Looks like we're probably going to roll over, but I would wait for that consolidation to break. So yeah, something a bit more of an intraday trade there. Oil, for a swing trade on oil, I'm kind of waiting for just a bit more information. We've had a pretty kind of big wick to the downside last week. So I'm looking to see what we do this week. Do we continue off that? Do we see a strong close? Because it is still lovely levels above us for a short. This is some really powerful support here on the left, which it would be nice for price to return to short and base some selling trades off that level. So I'm kind of still looking for price to get there. But of course, we don't necessarily have to. We've broken through that zone with this candle. Perhaps price still wants to continue. This candle just made things a bit awkward because we've tried to continue but failed. So perhaps support is forming here and we are going to see a bit of a pullback. But at the moment, probably going to see a push to the downside first, and then maybe if we start to see some healthy rejection, there could be a nice buy there later in the week, but we'll wait for us to get there before we talk more about that. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the yen pairs. I'll go through the yen basket first because that was mentioned earlier. And then I'll take a look at Euro yen and Aussie yen as well, and the rest of the yen pairs, to be honest. So, JPY basket. What are we doing? So yeah, I've said it's a bit awkward. I say it's a bit awkward because of the wicks we're seeing form. This is the weekly chart, a lot of wicks there. A couple of weeks ago, pretty strong close to the upside. However, last week's candle, doji, wicks. Again, doji candles sometimes a bit misleading because you feel like they're a bit more for reversals. They can be, but they can also be for a pause. You know, for example, really big bearish candle here. I know that's not quite a doji, but it's almost a doji. Then we continue. It just means kind of 50-50. The market's in equilibrium. If we're at resistance, more so you favor reversal or support either. But yeah, with that doji candle, it just means we're kind of struggling a little bit. But we are still seeing a lot of wicks to the upside. I go to the daily chart, not a lot of healthy signs there either as well. Overall, the market is still pretty corrective. I'm still favoring a push back to the wick high. But I'm thinking, do we get a pullback first? I do really like the zone here for a buy. Because, of course, that's where we consolidated. Big push down. We broke through that. So push back to 6,800 would be a nice place for a buy for me. And also because this was a huge bearish candle. And price came back to respect that consolidation there. And we've done a pretty good job at respecting it. So with yen, we might see a bit of a push to the upside. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do sell off. Like I said, I do think the bigger trade is still a buy, you know, back to the wick high over there. But perhaps we go for a little bit of a deeper correction first before we do see the buyers really kick back in and take this to the upside. So, yeah, I'm still pretty bullish with the yen. I still think the yen basket's got room to the upside. I still think yen strength, just hit the mic there, apologies. I still think yen strength has got some room to go. But would I be looking to buy it now? Again, it depends on your horizon. Are you looking for a trade for a session and looking for a trade for a day? Are you looking for a trade for the week? Two different situations there. It does look like support is holding, and perhaps we do see a bit of a push to the upside from this area. But for it to hit my target, I'm not so confident about buying from there because this is my target here. If I was buying from here, I'll be a lot more confident to hold into that high there. Because I'm a lot further down. I know I'm at some stronger areas where potentially that buy could form. And I'm closer to this higher low here as well. And if I get some red flags early on, I can exit the trade and probably still walk away with a healthy profit. Whereas here, you know, if we do see a decent move to the upside, I'm straight away into a bit of trouble. And we haven't really seen much evidence of strong bullish pressure coming back into the market, especially after that big sell. So I think from an intraday trade, it makes sense. That was a nice bullish engulfing candle. We might see some upside back into resistance, but I wouldn't be looking for anything more than that, to be honest, for the yen. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe we fly to the moon. You know, we're not going to know absolutely every move of the market. But I'd have a lot more confidence if I was buying down here for a big swing than here. So yes, it's a nice buy. We're still respecting support pretty well. We might get a push back to 7,100 there, but that's about it. I'm looking for the yen, or at least that I'm confident the market can get to. Anything more? If we approach into this area, I think we're coming into some red flags. And especially with how the daily chart's looking, we did close pretty bearish there. There's a lot of wicks to the upside here as well. So I'm getting red flags on the daily chart too that we're really struggling to break higher. We might come down first to go higher. So that's kind of my biggest takeaway with the yen basket. I'm still pretty bullish, still looking for the push back into resistance. But we are struggling at resistance right now. In terms of yen, euro yen, so this one likewise as well, I am still pretty bearish with this one. Still looking for a push back into support down here, which is the neckline of the massive head and shoulder pattern. So of course you got the left shoulder over there, you got the head over there, you got the right shoulder. Bit of a weird one, but yeah, over there brewing up quite nicely. And I'm looking for us to roll over. There's some resistance here on the left, which looks like price is doing a pretty good job at respecting. As long as we don't break through that zone, it does keep me pretty bearish. So I'm looking for opportunities to short the market. I'm kind of looking to see if we can push back into resistance first for euro yen. So back into the high here, where we could possibly form a bit of a double top, and then from there get the big sell. Because we are forming these lower highs, 1, 2, I'm still anticipating a third. I just don't want to see evidence of us breaking resistance here, especially I definitely don't want to see price break through the high here on the left, because that pretty much puts an end to this bearish structure. So euro yen shorts look good. I'm still looking for a really, really big move. I do think, where's the measuring? I still think we've got well over 1,000 pips there to catch to the downside. But in terms of shorting the market, it has been a little bit tricky. We saw the initial rejection, price came up again. We've been pretty corrective. I'm not quite convinced about the sells just yet. So I'm kind of looking to see if we can push to the upside one more time, see what we can do around this zone. If things look good, could be a nice sell. Again, you don't have to look for the home run either. If you can at least short it back into an area like this, I think that'll be a great trade in itself. You can always leave positions to run to those extended targets as well. But yeah, we are still very corrective, which gives me confidence that euro yen is going to sell off. It's not like we're just aggressively pumping to the upside. You can see just generally how corrective we are on the way up here, which typically means that we are going to roll over at some point. So yeah, euro yen still bearish bias, 163.5, 164 is kind of the zone I'm looking for price to get to short. But yeah, looking for a really big sell here for euro yen. Aussie yen for this one, we've had a lot of strength with Aussie, so price is kind of recovering a little bit. A weekly chart, you can see not so much a recovery on the weekly candle. The thing is, it's actually a pretty big candle just because this candle's so big. It makes it look small. But the key thing from the weekly chart is that we've come back from support on the left here, which actually started off a pretty big move. So I'm not so interested with the sells anymore with Aussie yen. I mean, I think there still could be some nice selling opportunities, but I'm not so looking for a sell back into a swing low. For a drop to the 4-hour chart, actually, for a drop to the daily, sorry. Daily, I still think this is a nice place for a short. Back into some price support. I also think this is a nice place for a short as well. That was the support we had just before we broke to the downside. So 92, 93, I still think those are really healthy places to try and eyeball some shorts for Aussie yen. The key thing is I'm not expecting us to swing all the way back down into support. So if we stay nice and corrective, I think we can get there, see a rejection. But again, I probably wouldn't look for more than 50% of that swing. So if I get the fib out from the low to the high, let's say we sell from around there. Let me just get rid of all the other levels so we can see it a bit more clearer. Yeah, that's the 50%. I probably would target around there for a correction. Just because I've got a feeling price is going to start to correct higher. Markets had a pretty big drop, a bit overextended, tapping into really powerful support on the left here. I wouldn't be trying to force any type of continuation. This is definitely a healthy place to short from. Same with that level there at 93. And both from those areas, I wouldn't be looking for a big continuation. Just keep it relatively simple. Maybe a short for a day or two. And then looking to try and exit out the market. And of course, you can always manage it different ways. So if we do catch a meaningful move to the downside, you can take most of your profit, but leave some to trail because maybe we do get to the lows. And you can leave that position to find that out. If it starts to go back against you, well, at least you banked most of your profit. So it's not the end of the world. If it does, well, that little position can potentially add up and do some heavy lifting as well. But Aussie yen, I'll keep an eye on 92, 93, healthy zones to short. Just not looking for a big swing here. I don't think we're quite set up for that just yet. Okay, so Ahmed, yes, gold 15-minute time frame. We'll take a look. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I do appreciate everyone who has liked so far. But yeah, gold 15. Let's take a look, and then we'll probably go through some. Oh, what am I doing? Gold 15. We'll take a look at gold, and then we'll probably go through some of the for the rest of the yen pairs. Now I want to take a look at some of the indices as well. So gold on the 15, it looks like this one is just slowly working its way back to resistance. We had a nice little sell there yesterday. Price didn't really do too much because, again, we are still bullish, so never really looking for a big sell unless something changes. Formed a bit of support, bit of consolidation, strong push to the upside during the night. We're looking a little bit corrective. Price went and respected the high there, so we are struggling to break through that. But we do have this zone just below us here, where price did consolidate, and we ripped the upside. So naturally, that looks like a nice, healthy place for a retest to me. I think later this afternoon, that could end up being a really nice place for a buy. If we could sell off, tap into that zone, take out that low there as well, because there will be some people who got into some buys earlier on. From this low, that's like coming into London session. So there will be a lot of liquidity here, price can go and take, and then potentially use that to fund the move higher, or at least back into resistance. We don't necessarily have to look for the home run. It's just because of gold's climate right now that we could very much just rip to the upside, and it's not really a big deal because gold's just been doing that since the beginning of last year, really. So the market is still very bullish. Yes, we're starting to struggle a little bit. I would say the key thing to note is we are a little bit more corrective now. We're a little bit slow on the way up. We tend to be a little bit faster. So maybe gold is starting to approach a point where we might run out of steam, and we might be looking at a much bigger retracement soon. But again, that could change very quickly if we suddenly see some bullish pressure come back in and 2, 3, 4 big candles start flying to the upside. Well, we're back impulsive again, so that can change pretty quickly. But yeah, I like the buys here. There's a nice zone underneath us. You can see price was pretty close to testing it, failed. I actually think that builds confidence for the level for a buy. And yeah, I'll at least look for a push back into 32.30. If things go well, can leave position to run into 32.40. Which is more or less where the all-time highs are. Trev, what's up? Do you ever sell gold? Do you mean in general, or do you mean as in like would I sell it right now? In general, yeah, of course. I'll look to sell and buy gold. I'm just looking for a good opportunity at the end of the day. Sometimes it will be a sell, sometimes it will be buy. I am not I'm not going to ignore a good sell. In the current climate, because everything is so bullish, I would be very cautious to sell, especially with the time frames that I work on, which is more so the 4 hour and the hourly chart. Because if I'm going to get a meaningful move on the 4 hour time frame, I'm going to need to see a good 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus candles for it to be a decent swing in my position. And it's just going to be very difficult to see that on the 4 hour time frame. This was probably the last decent move there, and it'd be difficult to try and predict a move like that. Difficult to try and predict a move like that. So in this current climate, if there's a good sell, yes, I would look to take it, but I would be quite in and out. I'll manage the trade pretty aggressively. Yeah, I'd be more inclined to buy. Yeah, it's very bullish at the moment. So yeah, I don't think, there will be good sells. You don't want to just focus. yeah, I don't want to say that either because you can. I was going to say you don't want to primarily focus on the buys because you might miss a good sell. But then, yeah, even if you miss a good sell, there'll be plenty of buy opportunities. You don't have to take advantage of all of them. I think the biggest takeaway is that the market is bullish, so focus mostly on buys. But we start to see some evidence of some selling pressure coming in. So break of structure, big bearish candles. There will be some good shorts too, like we had here. Price start to double top here. Really strong bearish engulfing candle there coming into play. So after that, you're probably looking at some pullbacks and some shorts. That would be a good short to take. And we were speaking about this during the time it happened. So yeah, that could be a nice short. But of course, primarily the market is still bullish. So until we start to see evidence of like that, I wouldn't jump into any sells. Yeah, of course. No problem, Trev. Happy to help, my man. So yeah, we're gonna get Trump is going to be a lovely indicator. We should kind of get an indicator based around Trump because I think that's going to be a very powerful indicator. Not even necessarily in terms of direction, just in terms of market volatility. Trump says something, we're going to see a big move. Anyway, let's go to the other yen pairs. So we had a look at Euro yen, had a look at pound yen. We did Aussie yen as well. We'll do New Zealand yen, we'll do its partner in crime. That one again, naturally, we've had a massive move to the downside, but we've come into some really big support. So I'm not really looking to sell this one for any long-term swing anymore because we've already seen a pretty decent swing, in all honesty. From that big drop, we had a pullback and a lovely swing. So I'm not really looking trying to sell the market anymore from a longer-term play. And since we've come back into some pretty meaningful support here on our left, I do think we can see a bit more upside, and we have. The markets look pretty bullish. We are coming into some supply though, where we did have a brief pause there in the market and we dropped the downside. So we might start to see a bit of a bearish reaction here. So we might see, and we are still pretty corrective as well, which is what I like to see. When we are coming into areas like this, I like the market to be pretty slow. That tends to give us moves to the downside. So I do think we can see a bit of a push to the downside for New Zealand yen. But similar to what I said before Aussie yen, I wouldn't look for anything too big. I think a push back into this area, probably start to look to call it a day, to be honest. 83.6. I think that's a nice place for a short. That's also a nice place to book some profits. You can see the momentum we had from this level here. This is a really aggressive double bottom here. We had a lot of buying pressure. That doesn't necessarily give me confidence that the market is likely going to continue this trend. I think we are starting to form a bit of a bottom. Again, it might be a situation where we just have a much bigger pullback. Maybe the trend is still going to continue down, but we might go for a pullback which could last a few weeks potentially. So we don't want to be shorting that too early, of course. But coming back into some areas of supply resistance, I think that does look like a nice place for a short. If you can probably start to slow down, form a bit of a double top on the hourly, that could be a nice little trade there. But as we start to approach 83.6, I think looking to close some positions makes a lot of sense there. And you can always leave positions to run. I'm a big fan of that. Taking your profit where it kind of makes sense to, but leaving a small position to run. Again, that small position is not necessarily going to be a crazy big position. But it kind of scratches the itch in terms of, because you might close a trade, but you might have the feeling it might go further, but you don't want the profits to disappear against you. Well, if you have hit a respectable target, you can close most of your profits, so pay yourself there, but you can always leave a bit to continue. That way you're kind of, okay, I'm still kind of in the trade. I still got that kind of, I'm still kind of scratching that itch in terms of holding for the bigger move. But if it doesn't get there, no big deal. I've already taken most of my profit. If it does pull back against me, I can always close the position a bit later, or maybe walk away for break even with the remaining position, or however you want to manage it. If you have a trailing stop, as well. But of course, if it does hit the target, great. You can still kind of take advantage of that a bit. Again, mostly profit's going to come from the position you closed already, but you can leave 20% to run, and that could end up banking another 0.5%, 0.75%, maybe an extra percent, which could add up in the long run. What's up, Lighton? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're good. Yes, USD dollar yen, no problem. Haven't looked at any of those pairs yet. What's up, Hamid? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. So USD haven't looked at this one since yesterday. What have we done? Not much. We kind of just continue to sell off a little bit there. Have we got back into this level yet? Not quite. Weekly's looking pretty bearish. Pretty strong moves to the downside. I mean, that was a really big rejection from that high last week. So yeah, we did speak about some pullbacks yesterday for USD, didn't we? We were mentioning this zone here as a nice place for a pullback into, a retest and a continuation. Not looking quite likely this week unless we have a very bullish Tuesday, Wednesday maybe. We might get there. We're more so coming back into support. From a daily perspective, I do think there can be a nice bounce here for USD. Again, I'm not so optimistic about a push back to the prior high. I don't quite see that happening with the way we rejected the high over there. If I just push that into the resistance there, you can see massive rejection there as well. So with the way we rejected the high, doesn't give me the vibes of trend continuation. It might do eventually, but I wouldn't expect us to shoot straight away. We might go for a bit more of a complex pullback, maybe form support, push down, consolidate, and then maybe eventually we pick up the steam to go and break the high or test it again. I wouldn't expect us just to test support there and just completely fly. I think we can bounce there. So that could be a nice short-term long trade idea. I still think this is a nice place to sell as well. Just have to be patient to see if we can get there or not. But if we stay consistent in terms of how corrective we are, I do feel like as the week progresses, it could be a nice long there from 18.7. So, yeah, USD I'm kind of just, in terms of my long-term play, I'm kind of a bit more neutral, to be honest. I don't really have a long-term outlook of the market. Of course, naturally, the market is bullish. But because we've come back into the high and respected it very aggressively, I think I'm generally still naturally bullish on this one. That's the way the trend is. This rejection doesn't necessarily define reversal to me, so I'm not looking for a big move down just yet. I'll still say the market by default is naturally bullish. But again, because of that rejection, I wouldn't be looking for such a big move. So yeah, naturally buys around 18.7 look good. Sells around 19.25 look good as well. Just kind of waiting for price to get to one of those levels, to be honest. In terms of dollar yen, so dollar yen still pretty bearish on this one as well. Looking for a push into 140. So yeah, that's my target for the week there for dollar yen. You can see last week's close was pretty bearish. Nice wick to the upside close. Pretty bearish there, a bit of a wick to the downside, but momentum is still definitely with the bears. I do think price is just going to naturally gravitate towards that level. In terms of opportunities, again, we do need to see a pullback for dollar yen. Price looks quite sideways. I've got a feeling that we might just kind of slowly roll over like so. So there might not be much of an opportunity for dollar yen, but I want to see a push to the upside so we can short it back down again. We have naturally some nice areas of support here. You can see where those wicks piled into, numerous wicks into this zone. Naturally, if you can pull back and see the same as resistance, that could provide us a nice place to short, back into the low, and then perhaps back into that weekly zone we just mentioned. I also do like the support here as well if we have a slightly bigger pullback, but you can see how resistance has been holding. We had the prior high over there, nice drop, another lower high, nice drop, another lower high, drop, and price came back to respect the same high. Oh, just about missed it. Another drop to the downside there as well, and now we're back at the same zone, looking for the next lower high in that sequence for the continuation. So that's very much the plan there for dollar yen. Like I said, we might just roll over annoyingly, so it'll be difficult to get into a trade of that kind of nature. But if we can pull back, hopefully there'll be some nice entries to take. And yeah, shorts back into support, and hopefully 140 as well. We're not too far away, so I feel like there's a good chance we get to 140 by the end of the week. So yeah, pretty bearish on dollar yen. I do think we got some more downside to be had. Okay, so yeah, hopefully that made sense. Light turn, DT piece, what is up? What's your favorite pair to trade? How long does it take to become profitable? I don't really have a favorite pair. Yeah, I'm also focused on opportunities. There could be a really nice opportunity on like CAD CHF, although CAD CHF is probably one of my least favorite pairs to trade. I can tell you some of my least favorite pairs. I'll probably say by default, some of my most favorite pairs would be pound yen, euro USD, and maybe pound USD. I'll say those three tend to be my more favored pairs. But at the end of the day, if there's a good opportunity on CAD CHF versus pound USD, if pound USD looked average and CAD CHF looked really good, then I'm trading CAD CHF. But CAD CHF wicks around a lot more, so that's why I'm less favored to that pair. But yeah, I'll probably say those three. And how long? It took me around the 3-year mark, to find consistency. No problem, Julius. Happy to help. Hope you are doing good. One love, appreciate it, my man. Hope you're well. I'll finish off with the yen pairs. There's still a few to go through. Swiss yen, I'm still kind of intrigued with that pair. And CAD yen as well. And then we'll probably go through some of the crosses as well. There's a few which I'm quite interested in. At the moment, we haven't gone through the indices yet either. So we'll do that too. Of course, if you have any requests, any pairs you're looking to trade, or want my opinion on something, drop it in the chat and we will discuss. But yeah, Swiss yen, of course, this was extremely bullish last week. I was looking to short this one, but it actually exploded to the upside. I didn't get a signal to short it, so I stayed out of the market. But yeah, very, very big move. I was looking for another lower high, but looks like price is not having any of that. And we closed very strongly bullish to the upside there. So yeah, I would kind of be a bit more cautious now with Swiss yen. I still do have that natural bearish bias for the pair, but I can't be looking to short a bullish candle that big. Yeah, so I'm kind of backing away. We've broken through the trend line as well, which means that we lost a lot of confidence there too. So this is more of a bullish signal, if anything. So I did say on the lower time frames that actually Swiss yen buys look the best play for me. We've been pretty consistent with the higher lows, impressive momentum. We've left behind a really nice consolidation there on the 4-hour time frame. If we were to see price slowly maneuver back into this area, then I do think that would be a smart play for a long. Nice kind of corrective pullback, and then targets back to the respective high, and maybe so on and so forth. Maybe you push back all the way to the high over there. I wouldn't be so optimistic of that just yet. I think if you can get a trade here and target that high there, I think that's a good enough trade idea to work with. But yeah, dollar yen pretty consistent with the higher lows here. The idea is that we are looking for the next one. And I would expect there's a good chance it does happen at this zone. Just need to wait for a pullback there, a nice corrective one, and that could give us a nice trade to take. So yeah, dollar yen, that's kind of my take there. And of course, CAD yen is just really flat. So I'm just letting CAD yen do its thing right now, really. We are respecting support pretty well here, so that's one thing to take away. But if I expand to the weekly chart, you can see not much momentum, kind of just slowly falling. Drop to the 4-hour chart, looks even worse, to be honest. We're kind of just squeezing as you can see there, but we're just doing that within a larger range as well. So yeah, the way I see CAD Yen, trapped between support and resistance, no kind of clear cut direction. I know the market has been pretty bearish for a while, so naturally you could say you're bearish bias, but still I wouldn't be looking to try and take a short here. We've seen 3 rejections of the low here. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. That's not what I want to see in terms of a bearish market. And we're also seeing very strong reactions off it as well. So if anything, it might be a situation where the market's getting ready to reverse or have a bigger pullback, but we haven't broken any structure yet, so I can't be looking to buy just yet either. So CAD Yen, just very kind of neutral bias, waiting for more information. Again, if the market's not looking clear to you, there's no point trying to force an idea. You only want to be taking trades when the idea is very clear. You kind of want to take a trade where you'd be surprised if the market doesn't move in that direction. Of course, you understand that anything can happen, 100%, so you don't want to be too surprised, but you also want to be quite surprised. That's the type of opportunities you want to be taking. You don't want to be taking a trade that's 50-50. Okay, where was I? Appreciate it. Ultimate Trading Tools. Thank you. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out. I do really appreciate that, guys. And subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. Lighter, no problem. Happy to help. That's what I'm thinking also on the pairs. Okay, nice. Dollar CAD, Aussie dollar are printing price correctly for my setups. Okay, nice. No liking Trump's indecisiveness. I don't think anyone does, to be honest. Lighten. I think everyone can agree with you with that one. DT, I've been studying, but I'm not profitable quite yet. I've been practicing going on 3 years, but I'm close. Good, keep it up, my man, keep it up. Again, you don't want to be trying to go against time. I feel like that's a very damaging indicator to go off. Like, you know, I've been training for this long, so you know I need to be at this stage. Of course, you want to progress, but I feel like you make more mistakes that way. You kind of just want to focus on what you're doing well, what you're not doing too well, and then see how you can improve what you're doing good, and see how you can either, you know, get rid of what's not going right, or see how you can somehow make it right. I think the biggest thing is just reviewing and being consistent with your approach to trading. Because even if you have a poor approach, if you're at least consistent at that, you can look back at your results and see, okay, this thing just isn't working. Let me pivot. Let me change something here. If it is doing well, you can look back and see, okay, this bit is doing really good. Let's keep doing that. Okay, this bit seems to be holding me back a little bit. I can remove that a little bit and focus on this. So I think reviewing is just a huge part of just getting better. So if you're very, very close, just keep reviewing your analysis. Screenshots are a great way to progress, because you can see what's happening when you open trades, when you close trades. So yeah, I think that's a key thing to focus on. Julius, if you don't mind sharing what the confidence you must take before placing a trade. Also, how do you monitor and engage your trade setup? Good question. Also, how do you put your emotions in check? Well, in terms of just ticking off, I don't really have like concrete ticks. I have like a general kind of 3 I'm looking at. So the first kind of box I'm ticking off is just direction. I want to have a pretty clear bias of what I'm expecting the next kind of week or the next kind of couple of weeks to do in the market. That's kind of the time horizon I work with, a week or 2. So if I got clarity in terms of direction, that's one box ticked. In terms of how I find direction, normally just in terms of support and resistance, momentum, market structure. There's never like a black and white thing I'm looking for, like, okay, tick, that's there. It can be based on quite a few things, but most of the time it's just based around support and resistance, market structure, momentum, and you know, basic chart patterns, double tops, candlestick patterns, head and shoulders, V-shaped patterns as well. So that's kind of how I determine my direction. The second box is location. So kind of, are you in an appropriate place to buy or appropriate place to sell? So for example, let me think of a pair. Okay, pound yen. Pound yen is actually a good one. Because pound yen, I'm still pretty much long term bearish, but it's just not in a great place for me to execute that trade for a long term approach. Because right now on daily charts, we are trading at support, so this would not be a good location for me to sell. The market's respecting support quite a lot here. We're seeing a lot of wicks. Doesn't really make much sense for me to look for a long-term sell. Of course, if you're looking for an intraday sell, that's a different game altogether, because like I said, my time horizon is kind of like a week or two. It's kind of how long I'm looking to play for my trades. It could be a little bit more than that, could be a little bit less, but that's kind of an average. So yeah, this is not the best place for me to sell. If price can push up to this area, well, that would be a much better place to sell. So I've got my directional bias, I'm bearish. Now I need location. So location, ideally, I would like price to be a lot higher. Then I'm waiting for that box to get ticked. And then thirdly is just the setup for the entry. So price get into that zone, depending how we get there, how we respect it. You know, do we see now shift momentum? Are wicks forming in that zone? Does it look like price is respecting that zone, basically? So bullish engulfing candles, hammer candles is kind of what I'm looking at, and momentum as well. And then I've got myself a trade. So that's more or less the three boxes I'm looking at. But again, each setup is kind of unique. I'm using the same technical instruments. But yeah, sometimes it's a little bit different for each trade, because of course each trade is a bit different. But those are the more or less the boxes I'm following. Oh, that was a mistake, not printing price correctly. No wonder I'm not checking that often. Okay. Hey, what's up, Will? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. I'm doing good. Hope you're well, my man. Hope you're doing well. How have you been? How have you been? DT, I'm not against waiting another year or two as I can get consistent gains, but mostly because of my trades on demo for now. When I go live, it's always mini. Do you go against retail? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Again, predominantly retail traders are trying to call bottoms and tops. Sometimes I am looking to try and call a top as well. I'm never trying to be the first one into a high though. So for example, if the market is absolutely falling, for example, gold's a good example because gold's flying. Gold's flying right now. I'm never going to try and look to pluck a top here for gold. Absolutely not. Most retail traders probably looking to try and sell gold right now because it's overstretched, it's gone too far, it needs to pull back, which they're right. You know, gold does need to pull back. That's just how every healthy market moves. But in terms of where it pulls back from, it could be here, it could be a bit higher, it could be a lot higher. We're not to know. So I'm always waiting for price to give me the first indication that we're about to roll over, which would be a break of structure or a sharp move. Like for example, over here in the 4-hour chart, we had a lovely double top over here not long ago. Really strong, powerful bearish move, breaking through lows here. As a result, we've got a pullback and a nice short there to the downside. So that's something I'm looking to do. So predominantly retail traders will be looking to try and call tops here, but they'll probably be shorting a lot earlier. And eventually price does fall over. So that will be the times that I do go with retail traders. But of course, if I'm looking to trend follow, then that's normally when I'm going against them, because they'll be looking to try and call the tops and bottoms. So I can go both ways. I don't normally look at retail sentiment in terms of analysis, in terms of if a trade is gonna work or not, or confidence for a trade. I don't normally look at that. I'm just mostly focused about the price action. Marquinsa. What do you think of Dave Teaches? I don't know who that is. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I can't be of much help there. Julius, no problem. Happy to help. Okay, in terms of the emotions question, yeah, emotions is always a tricky situation because, you know, it's different for every person. Everyone will have slightly kind of different emotions they're battling, or battling more so than others. I think the best way to tackle emotions in general is just journaling, because it allows you to think in a bit more on a bit objective. I think a bit more objectively, because when you're in a trade, you kind of like, oh, I don't want my profits to go down. I don't want price to reverse against me. But then when it's all said and done, you look back at your journal, you kind of say, did I make the right decision, or did I just make the decision because I was scared? And then you can record that, learn from that, and you go again, and naturally you be a bit more aware that next time. Naturally, when you're scared again, you kind of look back at your journal. You closed early because you were scared last time. Didn't really make sense to close. This time, you're a bit more aware of that, so you kind of put that to one side a little bit. You focus a bit more on the price, you develop, you get better. So I think journaling is the best way to really actively not get rid of emotions, but just handle them better. But you're naturally always going to have emotions, aren't you? You get them less as you get more experienced. But in the beginning stages, they can be a real battle. Anyway, I'll go through some of the indices. I don't think have I missed out any requests? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. So I'll go through some of the indices. I haven't looked at them yet. Actually, like the 200 SMA more than structure breaks. Do you think that's why my curve is taking so long? No, just curious. I'll stop bugging. The chat is always free to ask questions. You have to. You're not bugging me, DT. Of course not. It's either that or I'll just not respond to comments. But yeah, you're not bugging me. 200 I look at as well. I look at it a lot for indices, like for the S&P 500. I look at it a lot because I know a lot of people look at the 200 for the S&P, and they kind of swear by it. So it's always a good kind of metric to go off. In terms of kind of more FX side of things, 200, I've dibbled. That's not what I wanted to say. I've dabbled. There we go. Dibbled. I've dabbled with it. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes I don't so much. It's a nice confluence in terms of support. I don't really use it in terms of direction because it does lag dramatically behind price. The market is turned a long time before it does, because of course it's an average of 200 bars, so a lot can happen in that time. So I don't look at the 200 in terms of direction. I do like using it in terms of support and resistance though, because it does give some nice reactions. Like for example, that's a lovely test, and look at the move. That's a beautiful move from the 200. So I use it more as resistance rather than direction. I use market structure in terms of direction, because it's a bit more immediate, it's a bit more now. So I like using that. But the 200 is a good confluence for a trade. When absolutely, like I looked at it a lot for this trade over here. When the price did break through the 200, and then we broke through structure as well. We came back to not only retest support, but we also retested 200. Yeah, that was a really strong sign that says, okay, perhaps the sellers are going to be taking control of the market. Buyers are backing away because we're below the 200. We've broken through key support. There's a good chance we do sell. Then we've got the bearish engulfing candle. Then price kind of ripped to the downside. Of course, I was not expecting a move as big as that, but that's what happened, of course. But the 200 is a really, really nice confluence in terms of support resistance. Direction, it's good as well. I just find it to be a little bit slow. And of course, because it's slow, it's a bit more absolute. But I feel like for the indices, the 200 is really good because the indices trend naturally. So when price is above the 200, buy, and it makes sense. I mean, you can just eyeball the market here. When we're above the 200, it makes sense to be buying. If I was to get like an FX pair out, let's say like think off the top of my head, let's say Euro CAD. That was random. Let's say Euro CAD, same time frame, kind of zoom out, not as effective, and that's purely because of the nature of Euro CAD. Euro CAD, not just Euro CAD alone, any other market. Let's take a look at Euro USD, the most textbook of FX pairs. Again, with this one, a little bit better because it's a bit smoother. But generally speaking, we're up, down, up, down. So you're not going to find sweet opportunities like you would do with the S&P 500, which tends to trend in general. Of course, it will have those dips and those scary moments, but when we're above it, we're just flying. So I don't like using the 200 for direction for FX, which is where 90% of my trading is, because it doesn't really do much for direction when we're just going to be flat most of the time. Aussie CAD as well, we're kind of just dancing above it, below it, doesn't really provide too much opportunity. However, occasionally we will use it as resistance pretty well, like over here, lovely resistance, support there as well. There, not so much. There, acted as support pretty nicely. There, did it very well. Nice bounce of support. There, use it as resistance pretty well. Resistance again. Didn't quite get it that time. Not so well there. Lovely resistance there too. So I like it from that aspect there too. So that's why I've got a bit of a love and hate relationship, because direction for FX pairs, not great. Support resistance can be a really good confluence. I wouldn't swear by it just because we're at 200 there if I'm selling or buying. There has to be a good setup first for me to take it, and then if we've got the 200 backing up as well, that gives me a bit more confidence to take that position. But I wouldn't say it's slowing you down at all, because you can still find consistency with it. You just have to be smart. If you're trading a choppy market, be prepared for the choppiness. You're not going to trade an indice the same way you're going to trade an FX pair. Two different markets move two different ways. If you are trading an indice just like you trade an FX and vice versa, well, then that would probably slow you down because you're not effectively trading them appropriately. Anyway, let me actually take a look at the indices. So yeah, with S&P 500, so I'm still looking for a bit more upside. This is the zone I'm looking for price to get to, which is 5,500. And then we'll see what price does, because I'm still kind of on the fence a little bit in terms of the overall direction for the S&P. I mean, the overall direction. Of course, the overall direction is still very much up. Sooner or later, we're going to be up. But whether we're going to come back to attack the lows again, or has price already formed the low and now we're ready to push the upside, I'm not quite sold on that just yet. We had a very big candle there on Wednesday, which kind of giving us the impression of maybe a low is forming, but I need more consistency with that. I need another big candle to push up again. If we get another big candle, then yeah, I will look at that as a low, and then I'll be looking at pullbacks and buys. If we kind of just correctively push up, lose momentum, see wicks form, well then yeah, I'll look for price to roll over again. But first things first, needs to be a bit more upside for us to actually get to that zone. Last week we talked about a nice retest of this area, played out pretty well. We are a little bit flat right now. If I drop to the hourly chart, I still like this level just underneath us. Prior resistance running through the market there. That will return support 53.37. If we could see a push into that zone, I feel like that would be a nice place for a buy. Maybe not going to stretch the trade that far, but at least back to resistance here, I think that makes the most sense. So yeah, with S&P still naturally favoring buys. But yeah, we are still quite slow as well, which leads me to believe that we probably will see some sells from here. Whether it will be a sell from there all the way to the low, difficult to say. But I love the pullback. Nice respect to that zone. Lovely wicks. Nice consolidation. Broke to the upside for nice momentum. Left behind some nice support below us. See a push to the downside, maybe flush at that low. I think that could be a nice buy, perhaps even this afternoon. But my main focus this week is 5,500 to see what we do there. NAS, I think we're more or less trading in that area. So yeah, if I look to the left, drag this zone across, we came in pretty hot on Wednesday there. Thursday we reacted with it. Still looking to see if we can probably push back into that zone. See what we do. Do we close strongly? Do we wick through? Do we close above? Those are the type of questions I'll be asking myself. And then, yeah, if we're seeing suitable rejection, I'll be looking for a lot more downside. At the moment, it looks like S&P, not S&P, sorry, NAS is holding onto this zone quite nicely. I think if we can push one more time to the downside, that would be nice. And we probably could find a nice buy off that into resistance. Because we are pretty consistent with these high lows. We got one over there. We got one over there. We got a second over there. We got a third. Perhaps a fourth is forming there as well. So yeah, in my book, I think there's more upside to be had here for NAS 100. But 19, 200, 250 will be very, very important in terms of the overall direction of the market. And then, of course, you've got your Dow Jones, which is, I haven't looked at this one since last week, actually. I'm kind of leaving US 30 alone until things die down, because I'm not used to trading US 30 in this current climate, so I'm just going to let it do its thing. I've got a bunch of FX pairs to focus on anyway. So, yeah, with US 30, very strong close here to the upside again on Wednesday. Thursday reacted. Monday still kind of just jostling with that level there as well. Tuesday hasn't done much. Looking to see if we can spike into that level again. If we see another rejection today, well, then Wednesday I think we can roll over and start to see some downside. Again, I wouldn't be looking for the home run just yet, but there could be a nice short, at least for a day, at least for Wednesday tomorrow. So if Tuesday can push up, maybe spike through, then pull back, close below, still showing rejection, still kind of giving us that corrective nature on the lower time frame. So maybe you see one little fake move to the upside, but we come straight back below. Then yeah, Wednesday, we probably will see a bit of a drop there, at least back into some of these areas here on the left, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, indices still kind of stalling a little bit at major resistance. We could see price rollover here. We could see some rollovers. So in terms of the crosses, so in terms of my watch list, I only had 3 pairs in the watch list actually this week. I'm not a big fan. I mean, I'm keeping an eye on Euro Yen because that's still a pair that interests me. I'm looking to see if I can get back into the trade, but I do need a bit more of a pullback into 164. In terms of pound NZD, let me just remove my drawing. So yeah, I'm basing the trade idea off the weekly chart. So you can see here we had some resistance prior. Price broke through, not last week, the week before. Then last week we came crashing down for massive wick to the upside here and closed pretty strongly bearish. So I do think we can see some more downside. I'm looking at this zone here with all these wicks on the left, because this is where price really struggled. Then suddenly we had a massive weak push into the upside. I do think we'll have a lot of buyers sitting in this area. So naturally, I think the market is going to gravitate towards that area. But first, I want to see an up move. And then that's the move I'm going to try and capitalize on. So the swing from around 2.26 back into 2.22 is the trade idea. Of course, the market is still pretty bearish right now. We are a little bit corrective, so it does still give me hope that price will push up again. It's not like we're bleeding and seeing a lot of momentum. The market's still quite corrective, so we might push up. But yeah, I do need to see price push up if I'm going to get an entry. I'm not trying to find anything down here. It's just we're coming to support. There's not much of room to work with, especially when I base most of my entries on the 4-hour chart, sometimes the hourly. Yeah, risk reward would be a bit off. So I need to see some upside for pound NZD. And I'm looking for entries in that area for a swing back into support. This is a bit more of a counter trend position, but it makes sense based on the rejection of what we're seeing. I'm not looking for price to completely sell off. Absolutely not. There's still a very comfortable trend on our hands here. I do think there's a good chance we come back and test the trend line. That's all I'm looking to bet on. If we do start to break through that, well, then we can speak about reversals. But pound NZD shorts is something I'm looking at. New Zealand dollar longs is also something I'm looking at as well. This has started off very bullish for the week though. So again, you can see how we closed last week, very, very bullish. So in my book, there's a good chance we do see more upside. We've kind of done that, to be honest. So I'm kind of hoping we do pull back. It's still only Tuesday, so I'm not going to get too caught up by it. But yeah, I'm looking for some pullbacks. The reason why I like the trade a lot is because we had this really big bearish candle selling off, and price completely turned on a dime and swung to the upside. So I do think there's more upside to be had. I'm kind of looking at a similar move here we had to the downside. So if I measure that from the low, I do think we can get a similar move in the opposite direction from the same area. So something like that, back to maybe 0.61. Again, I'm probably not going to be holding the trade that far. That's kind of just a rough estimate. I'm not going to have my TP there. I'll probably judge my TP on a high, to be honest. So let's say if we keep pushing, then we decide to pull back, well, then my take profit will be here. And it gives me confidence to target there because I know we're well within this range. If the high is all over there, then maybe I probably won't target the high. But yeah, that's the idea I'm looking at for NZD/USD. Really strong selling pressure to the downside. Price complete reverse that. Now we've left behind some lovely structure to the left here. Looking for the retest of that now. So if I drop to the 4-hour chart, again, the plan is just to pull back into these areas for some longs. And that will be the trade idea for NZD/USD. Then the Aussie dollar, pretty much the same boat as well. Not as aggressive because we haven't broke structure yet. You know, this is the big sell we had on the weekly. We just about engulfed that, which is why it met my criteria for a buy this week. And you can see we had that big sell as well. We did actually closed through. We did break the low, but that doesn't bother me too much because I know we did the exact same thing over here. Well, without the close. But we did kind of take the low out pretty aggressively, then reverse. We took out the low pretty aggressively, then reverse. So this to me looks like a big low, a big bottom that's forming. I do think price is now getting ready to start to break higher. So I do think there's a lot of room to the upside here for Aussie dollar as well. Of course, it ends the USD, Aussie dollar, very similar pairs. So I'm not really looking to trade both of them. I'm just waiting to see whichever one gives me the best opportunity. But similar to Aussie dollar, similar to New Zealand dollar, sorry, the big move we got there for the sell, I do think we'll see a similar push in the opposite direction. There's a very similar trade that I took back in 2020. I think it was either late 2023 or early 2024, which is similar to this position on Euro. Back over here, when was that? Oh, I said late 2023, early 2024. That's actually early 2023, my bad. But a very similar move in terms of we had a really big sell candle over here, just about pinched to the low. And then as you can see, the market completely reversed from that. And if you look to measure this move here to the downside, and then as we of course went and broke structure, I then measured from the low to the high there, which kind of lined up with the resistance there, although I didn't target that high at the time. I targeted just resistance here. So we got the break, we got the pullback, came back to retest the level here. That's where I found my entry, and I just took profits around the high there on the 4-hour chart. But I got my entries on the hourly time for this trade. But again, because I knew it was within the range there, of course, we eventually did push back into resistance. But yeah, I wasn't really looking to hold for the home run then when I probably could have. But a very, very similar idea as well. And that's the beauty of trading, is that yeah, everything kind of comes from analysis of market structure and momentum, really. And patterns will base off that as well. And that's exactly what we've got here with Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar here as well. There's been some other opportunities. I'm not saying the last opportunity was back in 2023, but that's just the one I can remember because I traded that opportunity. But yeah, same big sell here. I do think we'll probably see price push up, and we probably will fill the range back to the high there. Again, it's a rough estimate. When you do a measure like that, it's not a guaranteed push, but we'll see. So yeah, first things first, look to see if we can break resistance. I wouldn't mind taking some premature longs from areas down here as well if we do pull back as well. So I do like those longs, but if we do break resistance, then I'm just going to wait for price to pull back, retest, and then buy. So yeah, that would be a nice trade on the USD pairs. And that's really the top of my list right now. I would say Euro Yen is also something I like. It's just a bit more awkward. But you can see here the market's forming lower highs, one over there, second, third. My plan is if this is a lower high, I do think we're going to melt pretty soon. So there's a pretty big scope here for Euro Yen. If I'm right with the direction, you know, it could be a pretty big right. We're talking about 1,000 pips from the high to the low. So it's definitely an opportunity which I want to partake in. In terms of getting an entry, I do want us to push back into resistance first. So what I'm looking at is hopefully another push up. Test that level. If things look good, I'll take a trade. Something like that. And again, targets, I don't think I want to hold full size all the way to the low there. I mean, the risk reward would look phenomenal. But yeah, I've tried to do that multiple times in the past. Sometimes it plays out, very rarely. I mean, what's the odds of you hitting a 1 to 9? Even if the analysis is perfect, the further you target, the less likely prices to get there, just on average in general. So I'd always look to probably take profits at this low here. I think that makes the most sense, and leave some to trail, because I'm pretty confident price can get here. At the same time, I don't let that confidence blind me and just hold full position, because I'll just be leaving price the opportunity to go against me, really, and there's no point in doing that. So yeah, that's kind of the 3/4 opportunities I'm looking at this week. ESAW FX, what's up? What's your opinion on March price action as a whole? Okay, so as a whole, in terms of like FX indices, I think in general, I mean, it's just a regular month. You know, April is kind of where all the craziness has started. Again, depends what markets you're talking about as a whole. Some markets we didn't do too much. Aussie dollar, very, very slim there. Euro USD, we had a pretty big move in March, didn't we? If I'm thinking correctly, yeah, pretty big move in March, coming off that low there. I feel like we're probably seeing a lot of continuation of what we did in March, a lot of the USD pairs. Aussie dollar maybe not so much, but pound, euro, dollar CAD, dollar CHF, a lot of the USD pairs, of course, we just look at the DXY in general. USD momentum's continued. Yen pairs were pretty bullish, but I'm looking to see if we can reverse that in April. So we can come back down. But in terms of the price action in general, I think it's just a regular month. There was nothing special about March, to be honest. Yeah, there was nothing special. It was just a regular month to me, to be honest. Wasn't particularly corrective, wasn't particularly bullish or bearish. It depends what market you're talking about, to be honest. But yeah, nothing really significant in March. April, we've seen a lot of chaotic moves, big weekly gaps, big moves on the indices. Of course, we did get the quarterly close as well, but yeah, nothing crazy. Just a normal month to me. The thing is, April is kind of a normal month to me as well, even with the chaos. It's just another month in the markets, really. Haven't seen anything particularly too scary. I know we've seen some big moves, and April's only halfway done as well. But even a candle like that for April, just another normal candle, really. Nothing too significant. I do get more excited about wicks than I do about big candles as well. So, you know, start to see aggressive wicks forming. That gets me a bit more excited than big candles, because big candles are great as well. They do provide momentum and show where the market could go, but they have to be at appropriate places. Like if we see a big candle, but it just gets into resistance, well, I need to see if we still break the resistance. If it doesn't, then we're probably going to reverse anyway. But yeah, nothing really significant for March. Nothing really significant. In terms of CHF pairs, I think there could be some opportunities on the CHF pairs coming pretty soon, because I think CHF is going to lose all of its strength, because a lot of these CHF pairs are hitting all-time lows, and typically after that we do tend to pull back. You can see every time we create a new low, the market does revert back to the upside, and no different with this situation here as well. We're likely to push back up there too. It's just a bit difficult because we're all-time lows, so you're trying to pick a bottom, but again, you don't have to pick a bottom. You can let the bottom form and try and find the pullbacks afterwards, which is how I'm looking to play it with Aussie CHF. At the moment, it looks like we're pretty flat, so kind of waiting for a bit of a continuation first. In targets, I'm looking for price to at least get back to the low there, which is still pretty far away, so I don't even have to be at the bottom to catch a decent trade. New Zealand CHF as well, another one which is at all-time lows, which is in desperate need for a pullback. A lot of consolidation at the lows here too. I'm at least looking for price to push back into this level here, but do you want to see some structure in my direction first before looking to buy the market? So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with CHF pairs. I feel like this could be an opportunity, not formed yet, maybe for next week, but I do need to see some continuation. Okay, referring to FX, I think March was sent the best month for my edge. Really? Okay. Yeah, true. Probably a lot. Yeah, of course. There's been a lot of noise in the news. Hopefully we start seeing the market return to its natural flow this month or next. Yeah, I mean, course of 12 months, you're going to have months where everything you touch turns to gold and everything is going very, very well. The market's very in sync with your edge. You're very in sync with the market. And there will be months where it's almost pretty much the opposite, where things are not going well. In drawdown, you have to manage your risk, maybe reduce your frequency, and be a bit more on the defensive side of things. And you have those good months and those bad months. They'll come into intertwined. Is that the correct word? Intertwine? No, that sounds wrong. You guys know what I'm trying to say. They'll come together. You get a strong month this month, maybe not so strong, and then maybe very, very strong within a week. So I think that the best thing to do is just focus on that edge, focus on your risk, focus on the edge, because potentially April could have a really nice end to it. It could potentially have a horrendous end to it as well. And you want to be prepared for both. You don't want to be too scared because, okay, maybe April's not going too well, so let me just be scared throughout the rest of April. No, because it could become good. Intertwined, that's it. Thank you. Well, I'm bugging out. So yeah, potentially April could become good as well. So yeah, I think that the best thing to do is just focus on the edge. If you prioritize your edge correctly, then you're naturally going to have really good months, and you're going to have months where things are not too good as well, naturally too. And it's just about the consistency with your approach and consistency with your risk as well. And if you can get that under your belt, then you're in a good place. Appreciate the help, though, Will. Don't forget to like and sub. Appreciate it, my man. If you guys are enjoying the stream, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. But yeah, we have come up to the end of the stream. Appreciate each and every one of you for tuning into the stream. I do really appreciate that. If you have found it useful, drop a like. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel as well. And of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. If you do want to join the Elevating Traders Discord channel, you can find the link to that in the description below and also at the top of the chat as well. So if you are interested, it's completely free to join. The link is there. It's at the top of the chat. You can join discussions, chat with other traders, chat with myself. You can find updates regarding Elevating Traders there as well. So if you're interested, go check it out. Completely free to join. Of course. Yeah, the biggest thing is kind of just getting away with yourself, really. If you got an edge, you just got to let the edge do its thing. But if you get in the way of it, well, it's gonna your edge is gonna run into troubles. Not the edge, but you as a trader. I appreciate it, Lighton. I appreciate it. Okay, guys. So take care. I will be live again tomorrow. I'm live every day this week from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, tune in, pop in, say hi to us, and we can have a good time. But thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I'll catch you all in the next stream.